Hello everyone, my name is drgdsharma and you are watching English, and in this video we are going to explain some of the important questions primarily for UPTGT, PGT, UPGIC and LT grade examination. These questions are based on the particular syllabus prescribed for these examinations. In this video you will have detailed explanation of each question so that you can understand the question itself completely and you can have also other points related to that question. So let us start this video. The very first question is, here are some characteristics of morality plays. The question has multiple options which are correct. So we have to choose any 2 or 3 options which are correct or which are applicable to morality plays. So first let us understand which are the options. They are dramatized allegories of life of man. They depict man's temptation and sinning, his quest for salvation and his confrontation with death. Though the hero represents mankind and other characters, by no means personifications of virtues, vices and death. A character known as Vice often plays the role of a hero, a predecessor of a villain hero in Elizabethan drama. Now we have to choose which 2 options are correct. Whether it is option first and second, option first and third, option 1 and 4th, and option second and third. The correct option is option 1 and 2. These 2 points are relevant to morality plays. First, they are dramatized allegories of life of man. It is very true to morality plays, and then they show man's temptation, allurement and his sinning, how he has been tempted into doing something, and then after having been tempted or allured, he commits that sin. And later on, when he realizes that he has done some mistake, he has committed some sin, so his quest for salvation is also there in the same morality play. And ultimately, he confronts death. He faces death. The wages of his sin is death. So these 2 points are very much relevant to morality plays. Actually, morality plays took their birth from mystery and miracle plays, and it is a battle between the evil forces and the good forces in human soul. So in one sense, these 2 options don't apply. In one sense, this is the exteriorization of the inward spiritual struggle. The common protagonists are mankind, everyman, other characters that are personification of virtues, vices, good deeds, knowledge, etc. So the common characters in these morality plays are mankind or everyman, the personification of virtues, death, sin, chastity, knowledge, courage. So these are the characters are commonly found in morality plays. We've seen that the character who has done something wrong out of the allurement, the fall of Adam and Eve can be the subject matter of a morality play. They were instructed not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge, but under the influence or the temptation caused by Satan, they were instigated to touch the fruit of the tree of knowledge, and as such their sin was given the penalty. They had to leave paradise and then they were cursed thereon. We can take the example of Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus, as we have seen in the starting of the play, how he was fascinated in necromancy. He thought that due to necromancy, black magic, he could achieve anything. He could learn anything. He could have anything. He could master death itself. So for gaining those material things, those fanciful things, he sold his soul to the devil. But after the death hour approached, he realized his mistake, his sin, and then he started praying for the salvation of his soul. But by then it was too late. During the course of his journey of his worldly pleasures, he was faced by the good angel. He never tried to mend his ways. And when the time was almost about to over, he realized, he prayed, but it was of no use. Ultimately, the clock struck, and then the Lucifer or the Satan or the devil appeared, took his soul, and he died. So it is simply man's temptation and his sinning. Though he tries for salvation, however, it is of no use because it is too late by then, and then he has to face death. We can have common examples or famous examples of morality plays, like the Castle of Perseverance that was published in 1425. Man, Will and Understanding. It is also one of the famous morality plays that was published in 1460. Mankind, one of the most important and most famous morality plays. Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus, as we have discussed, 1588. Ben Jonson also wrote one morality play, Staple of News. Nathaniel Wood's The Conflict of Conscience. John Skelton's Magnificence. The World and the Child. So these are famous morality plays. Morality plays were in vogue in early 16th century or late 15th century. Even T.S. Eliot's Murder in Cathedral can be morality play. Or wherever there has been a fall of man because of his own misdoings, because of his own allurements, because of his own temptation against some evil forces, wherever there has been such examples, and after that they struggle for the salvation of their soul, and ultimately they are dying, they are facing death. So these come in the category of morality play, the plays which give a moral at the end. Next question. In Paradise Lost, book 9th, Milton writes that Adam was overcome with dash and so ate the forbidden fruit against the better knowledge. So according to Paradise Lost, what was the dominant cause of Adam's fall? Eve ate the fruit of tree of knowledge because she was tempted by Satan. The temptation of Satan was too strong to be resisted by Eve. But what was the main cause of Adam? Why, even he knew everything, the consequences and everything, how come he was so tempted to eat the fruit of knowledge? So was it the female charm? Was it his exceeding love for Eve? Was it faithful love, or was it simply the taste so divine? The correct answer is it was his exceeding love for Eve that motivated him, that caused him to eat the fruit of knowledge. So B option is correct. He was overcome with exceeding love for Eve. You may have heard that this question has this female charm as the option, but let me show you the text, and on the basis of this text you can understand that this is exceeding love, not female charm. Actually, when we say that it was female charm that was at work to doom Adam, so we undermine the quality of Adam. We interpret him in sensuous terms. We interpret that he was a sensual man and he was enchanted or he was attracted by the female bodily charm. The body charm, the female charm of Eve. It was not merely charm, it was exceeding love. He loved Eve so much that he thought it better to doom with Eve rather than to live without her. So it was the love, pure love, exceeding love for Eve that he thought it better to doom with Eve because Eve was sure to fall. And without Eve, he did not feel the meaning of his life. Because on his behest, on his appeal, Eve was created later on. First of all, after the creation of the world, Adam was created, and when Adam felt that he was alone, he longed for some companion, he longed for some comrade. So, on his behalf or on his request, God created Eve. And now he felt that without Eve, his existence would be incomplete. So because of his exceeding love for Eve, he better thought it to be doomed. Let me show you the text. First 4 lines are of Adam. जब Adam को ये लग जाता है that Eve had already doomed herself, she was allured into eating the fruit of knowledge, and it was quite clear that she would be doomed. So he said, if death consort with thee, death is to me as life. So if death is the fate, the destiny of Eve, he would also accept death as a life. For him, life and death would not have any meaning at all. They won't have any difference. For Adam now, death will be as pleasing as life. He further says, I have omitted some lines, our state cannot be severed. So he feels that Adam and Eve are not two different entities, they are one entity with two identities. He says we are one flesh, one body, one substance. To lose thee were to lose myself. He feels that if he loses Eve, he would lose his own existence. There won't be any meaning of his existence without Eve. This suggests his love, his exceeding love. For love, these kind of things, only because of exceeding love we can destroy ourselves. We can think of nothing. It is not just because of female charm. Now Eve replies. What she says, "Oh glorious trial of exceeding love." We can have same words, exceeding love. It is just because of the trial of exceeding love. Now this is a test of love. This is the test of love, and now Adam seems to be passing this test. Illustrious example, illustrious evidence. This exceeding love is an example itself. Example high. It is an example. Engaging me to emulate. Emulate means I also try to excel in it. I also try to be as fair in this comparison as you. If you are ready to get perished, to get destroyed in my love, I also want to have this kind of love. I wish I had this love for you. So it is purely exceeding love. Next question. What is Johnson's opinion regarding the violation of three unities in the plays of Shakespeare? Shakespeare should have followed the unities. Shakespeare followed the important unity of action successfully, satisfactorily. Shakespeare's plays suffered because they did not follow the unities, or unity of time and place arise from false assumptions. Here we have to choose two options. Two options are correct and two are not. And the correct answer is option B. Second and fourth points are valid. Second and fourth. Shakespeare followed the important unity of action satisfactorily. According to Dr. Johnson, if Shakespeare did not follow all the unities, so it did not matter so much. According to Johnson, the unity of action was successfully and satisfactorily presented and followed by Shakespeare. Second thing, the unity of time and place are not that necessary. They arise from false assumptions. It was just in classical plays that these unities were expected to be followed. Even Aristotle does not waste so much on unity of time and place. He says that they should be followed. But if the dramatist fails to follow them and then he creates the successful drama, successful play, he is able to heighten the effect, the tragic effect particularly, so it will do. The only important thing is following of unity of action. And this is what Shakespeare followed satisfactorily according to Dr. Johnson. Or if we take Aristotle's conception of unities, three unities into consideration. Let me quote the very words of Dr. Johnson. He says, since Shakespeare, he is Shakespeare here. He is the poet of nature, and these plots have the complexity and variety of nature. By nature means that Shakespeare justifies the human nature. He is very true to presenting the human nature to its various manifestations. Shakespeare has created human beings in the true sense of the term. He has presented the true nature of human being in all his characters. So these plots have the complexity and variety of nature. These plots means the plots of his plays, Shakespeare's plays. There might also be certain incidents which are superfluous. Since Shakespeare is trying to create the natural aspect of human being, if at all he happens to create something superfluous, something untrue, so it will do. Since we are considering play to be original thing, we know that this is merely fiction. But if we feel, if we regard, if we consider these things as a true, if they happen to follow or not happen to follow the unities of time, if we regard the play, the fictional play to be true, we can also regard the duration of 24 hours into 3 hours, 20 years into 3 hours, and so on. But his plots have a beginning. The important thing about Shakespeare's plot is they have a beginning, they have middle, they have end. They are self-sufficient, they are complete in itself. One event is logically connected with another. Moreover, all these events they are connected logically. We cannot find anywhere that certain scene arises out of nowhere, and plot makes gradual advances towards the denouement. So following the Freytag's pyramid, Shakespeare's plot also follows them truly. This plot suggests that Shakespeare followed the unity of action satisfactorily. About the second, the unity of time and place arise from false assumptions. Let me quote another example. He says that unity of action alone is essential. The other unities arise from false assumptions and they circumscribe the drama. Circumscribe means they lessen the effect, they shorten the effect, they kill the effect and lessen its variety. So the violation is of unity becomes his comprehensive genius. So according to Dr. Johnson, if Shakespeare had not followed other unities of time and place, it is his genius because he has been able to present the complete drama in its entirety. He has led the drama to be true to the nature. About the unity of time, Dr. Johnson says, in contemplation we easily connect the time of real actions and therefore willingly permit it to be contracted when we only see their imitations. Since we are watching the imitation of action, tragedy is nothing but the imitation of action that is serious. So according to the conception of Aristotle, we are merely watching the imitation of action. And if we regard the action that is being presented on the stage to be true, we can also consider other exaggerations or other stretched limits to be true. If we regard that the death is real on the stage, we can also regard that the time is also justified. So Dr. Johnson did not blame Shakespeare for not following unity of time and unity of place, because he himself does not feel that they are very necessary. The only thing that is necessary is unity of action, and that has been followed by Shakespeare quite satisfactorily. Next question. Modern English emerged from South Midland dialect, East Midland dialect, French language or Northumbrian dialect? The correct answer is it arose out of East Midland dialect. London fell in East Midland dialect. It is also called London dialect or East Midland dialect, and it was due to the efforts of Chaucer that the vernacular that was spoken in East Midland dialect was made into a national language. Chaucer started using this dialect for his compositions. So later on he used this dialect into his compositions, like the Canterbury Tales. So whichever works were written in English, he used East Midland dialect, the vernacular language of this London dialect or East Midland dialect, and it gave some scope for its being used as a national language. Later on it replaced French and Latin language. Next question. One English poet addressing another English poet, like, thy soul was like a star and dwelt apart. Thou hast a voice whose sound was like the sea, pure as a naked heaven's majestic free. So didst thou travel on life's common way in cheerful godliness. So whose lines are these and to whom they are addressed? Whether they are addressed by W.H. Auden to Yeats or by P.B. Shelley to William Blake, William Wordsworth to John Milton, or by Ben Jonson to William Shakespeare. The correct answer is it is William Wordsworth who addressed John Milton in these lines in the poem London 1802. This is the part of sestet of the sonnet on John Milton by William Wordsworth. This was published in 1807 in Poems in 2 volumes, in the collection in the anthology Poems in 2 volumes that was published in 1807. Here Wordsworth seems to be lamenting the present age and its stagnant values. He feels that the people like John Milton should reincarnate. The values in the present era and the present generation, they are negligible. People have gone astray. They have lost the values of life. The degeneration in the values is quite discernible. So he longs that, or he wishes that the poets like John Milton, the people like John Milton whose life was sublime in themselves, and if John Milton takes yet another birth, he will be able to teach a lesson, a moral lesson, or he will be able to restore the values that are degrading in the present century. So he addresses John Milton just like his soul was like a star, pole star. Here it means pole star. And it had the gravity just like the gravity of the sea. It was pristine, it was pure as the heaven themselves, as the paradise itself. It was sublime, it was free, it advocated freedom, it had a value, the value with which he adhered throughout his life. And these kind of majestic values, these kind of free values, these kind of sublime attributes, they are very much needed in the present generation, present century. So he wishes that a person like John Milton himself reincarnate, so that the lost values of the present generation are to be restored. Next question: stealing herself to murder. Lady Macbeth calls on to unsex me here. This was in Macbeth Act 1 Scene 5, line number 39. Who Lady Macbeth is invoking? Is she invoking God, or the spirits of hell, or the angels in heaven, or no one in particular? These kind of questions are easy to guess that she is stealing herself, she is preparing herself for murder. So the person who is trying to do something evil, certainly he invokes evil spirits. So as a matter of fact, Lady Macbeth is invoking the spirits of hell. So spirits of hell should be there at the blank. Come you spirits. So these spirits are the spirits of hell that tend on mortal thoughts, and she urges herself to be unsexed. Unsexed means her feminine attributes should be removed. She wants to get filled with from the crown to top, from her tip to head, top full of direst cruelty. She wishes that there should be cruelty in her, so that when she accomplishes the task, when she executes the task of murdering King Duncan, her hands should not tremble. Her heart should not falter. She should not feel weakness in any way. Moreover, she wants to make thick her blood. Her blood, the sensibilities, the emotions should not hinder. Stop up the excess and passes of remorse. Remorse means the feminine sentiments like having pity, feeling pity, sympathy, empathy. They should not touch her at the time she commits that murder. That no compunction visitings of nature shake my fell purpose. The base purpose which she is trying to execute should not be hindered, should not be obstructed by the compunctions. Compunctions means the feminine qualities like remorse, like pathos, like mercy, like tenderness. So these emotions should not come in her way. Come to my woman's breast and take my milk for gall. So the motherly qualities, the female qualities should be replaced by the cruelty. The poison should replace the milk, the motherly attribute. So she should be filled with poison. The spirits, again, they are called murdering ministers. So murdering ministers, they are themselves spirits of hell. Wherever in your slightless substance you wait in nature's mischief. So she knows that these mischief, these spirits of hell, they are always in an opportunity to commit some mischief. They may be in any form. So in whichever form they are, she is invoking them to come to her and fill her with the cruelty, with murdering thoughts, with bitterness. So it is spirits of hell that she is invoking. Next question. Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know. Such harmonious madness from my lips would flow. The world should listen then, as I am listening now. Whose lines are these and to whom they are addressed? Are these lines of John Keats addressed to the nightingale, or of P.B. Shelley addressed to the skylark, or of William Wordsworth to Wye Valley, or Robert Browning addressed to the grammarian? Correct answer is, it is P.B. Shelley who is addressing the skylark. Actually, it is Ode to a Skylark. Ode to the Skylark is by William Wordsworth. To the Skylark. To the Skylark is by William Wordsworth. It is a lyric. And To a Skylark is by P.B. Shelley. So the Skylark is of Ode to a Skylark. The title of the poem is Ode to a Skylark. And here in this poem, he wishes the skylark to teach him how to remain happy, how to express happiness. Because P.B. Shelley feels that he lacks happiness, he lacks the happy expression of the soul. And when he feels that these attributes are there in the skylark, so he wishes these attributes in him as well. That's why he urges, requests or appeals her to teach her half of the gladness. He has utter pessimism and then he wants to reflect or express gladness or happiness. And who would teach him this expression, this happy expression? The skylark itself. The skylark has harmonious madness. Harmonious madness means ecstasy. The ecstasy that she expresses when the people listen to the music of that skylark, they get transported out of themselves. They feel enchanted. They feel ecstatic. So an ecstasy is all that is required by P.B. Shelley. The people like P.B. Shelley did not get the audience. They were criticized severely. So he feels that perhaps he is not expressing the happiness. Otherwise, people would certainly listen to that. So he wishes the ecstasy or the happiness of the skylark. Next question. Who among the following gave a happy ending to King Lear? James Quinn, Nahum Tate, Peg Woffington, or Charles Maclean? It was Nahum Tate in the adaptation of King Lear titled The History of King Lear. Nahum Tate, yet another ending, or that is the happy ending. This play was published in 1681. And what happened in the happy ending? King Lear did not die, rather Lear regained his throne. Cordelia also did not die. Cordelia married Edgar. And Edgar declared that truth and virtue shall at last succeed. The character Fool is missing in this adaptation. Fool is absent in the play, in the adaptation. Many critics criticized Nahum Tate for giving happy ending and as such changing the very tragic concept of King Lear or the tragic effect of King Lear. However, Dr. Samuel Johnson felt pleased. He approved the happy ending because Dr. Johnson did not approve Cordelia's death. He felt that this was unbearable. In his own words, the death of Cordelia was unbearable. So he approved this happy end. Next question. Which of the following poems does not begin in the first person pronoun? Except one poem, all these poems begin in first person pronoun. Either beginning with I or we or my or our or in any first person pronoun. In any case. So was it Shelley's Adonais, Byron's Don Juan, Keats' Lamia or Coleridge, the Aeolian harp? The correct answer is it was Keats' Lamia, which did not begin with first person. Rather, it is a narrative poem and it is third person narration. It was published in 1819. The story is about god Hermes who hears of a nymph who is more beautiful than the gods themselves. They start a search for that nymph, but instead they come across Lamia. And Lamia is a serpent woman, a woman who is trapped in serpent form. There is a pact. Lamia reveals the true nymph. Lamia reveals to the Hermes the nymph he was searching for, and in return she was restored into the woman. The form was released. So this is a narrative poem. It did not start in first person narration. Let me show you the opening lines of all these poems. Now you can clearly see Lamia. It starts in third person narration. Once upon a time, before the fairy broods dropped nymph and satyr from the prosperous woods, before King Oberon's bright diadem, sceptre, mantle claps with the dew gem. So it is about a time when the nymph and satyrs and all these creatures, they lived prosperous in the woods. It did not start in first person. Adonais, as we can see, I weave for Adonais. This is the very first line. So I is first person pronoun in subjective case. Similarly, Don Juan, I want a hero. Again, I want a hero, an uncommon want, when every year and month send forth a new one, till after closing the gadgets with cant, the age discovers he's not the true one. And Similarly, Evelyn harp, it starts with my. My is also first person pronoun possessive case. My pensive Sarah, thy soft cheek recline, thus on mine arm, my most soothing, sweet it is. Next question. By language transfer is meant knowledge generated in the development of a learner on account of other domains of knowledge, or the carryover of rules of the mother tongue, syntax, phonology and semantic system to the second language in question, or the carryover of rules of the second language syntax, phonology, semantic system of the to the mother tongue in question, or is it the vocabulary or sentence structure transferred haphazardly during the second language acquisition from any other language accessed by learner? The correct answer is B. Language transfer, when we carry forward the rules, the grammar, the phonology, the morphology, the phonetics of our mother tongue to the target second language. That is to say, when we try to understand a foreign language or a second language with the help of the grammar or the phonology or the phonetic system of our mother tongue. In that way, it is easy. It is easy to understand the second language. We try to learn the second language with the help of our mother tongue. So what we do, we carry the rules of grammar or the phonology, the phonetics, the sound system, the morphology, the structure of words to the second language. It is easy to learn the second language. Language transfer is of two types: negative transfer and positive transfer. Negative transfer, when we try to take all the rules as such to the target language, which is not always possible because the sound system and the phonology or the semantics or the syntax of every other language is slightly changed. If not completely, it is slightly changed. और जब हम पूरे के पूरे rules transfer करने की कोशिश करते हैं तो somewhat we get mistaken. For example, the sound system of Hindi language and the sound system of English language, they are to certain extent different. In Hindi, the sounds and the alphabet, they are same. In English, sounds are different and alphabet are different. Sounds are 44 and alphabet only 26. So the additional sounds, we take all 26 alphabet to be the sound and as such try to pronounce the words on the basis of those sounds as well. The way we pronounce the words in Hindi, उस हिंदी लैंग्वेज की जो ईजीनेस है उसको ही हम इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में अप्लाई करने की कोशिश करते हैं और एज सच मोस्ट ऑफ आवर प्रोनाउंसिएशन दे गेट डिस्टर्ब. हमारे प्रोनाउंसिएशन खराब हो जाते हैं और हम ये कहते हैं कि वो रीजनल इफेक्ट्स हैं. रीजनल इफेक्ट्स कुछ नहीं होते. एक्चुअली वी हैव नॉट गॉन थ्रू द रूल्स ऑफ द सेकंड लैंग्वेज कंप्लीटली. और उसी तरीके से सेंटेंस स्ट्रक्चर, बहुत बार सेंटेंस स्ट्रक्चर भी हम अपनी मदर टंग की स्ट्रक्चर को सेकंड लैंग्वेज की स्ट्रक्चर में अप्लाई करने की कोशिश करते हैं. टू सर्टेन एक्सटेंट वी आर सक्सेसफुल बट इन अदर वेज वी कमिट मिस्टेक. सो जब उस तरह की एरर्स आते हैं, सो इट इज नेगेटिव लैंग्वेज ट्रांसफर. व्हेन देयर इज नो एरर, just like the sounds of consonant alphabet, most of the consonant sound of English alphabet, the sound and alphabet, they are same. Just like the sound and the alphabet in Hindi language, they are same. उस point of view से हम जब apply करते हैं, so we are correct. और कई बार हम common जो words, easy words के pronunciation हिंदी language के हिसाब से अगर use करते हैं तो वो आ जाते हैं, ठीक हो जाते हैं. So that is positive transfer. So there are two types of language transfer, negative and positive, and it is simply to understand the second language by the rules of mother tongue. Language transfer का simple meaning क्या है? जब आप एक foreign language अपनी mother tongue के rules and regulations and grammar and syntax उससे आप learn करने की कोशिश करते हो, क्योंकि mother tongue के rules आपको easy पड़ते हैं और वो रूल्स आप टारगेट लैंग्वेज में अप्लाई करने की कोशिश करते हो. सो दिस इज लैंग्वेज ट्रांसफर. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ हैड अ डीप इन्फ्लुएंस ऑन थॉमस हार्डी. अकॉर्डिंग टू हार्डी, अ पर्टिकुलर पोएम ऑफ वर्ड्सवर्थ वाज हिज बेस्ट क्योर फॉर डिस्पेयर. विच वाज द पोएम? वाज इट माइकल टिंटन एबे, इडियट बॉय और लीच गैदरर? द करेक्ट आंसर इज इट वाज लीच गैदरर. द अदर टाइटल इज रिजोल्यूशन एंड इंडिपेंडेंस, or it is commonly known as Leech Gatherer. It was written in 1802 and published in 1807. In poems in 2 volumes, the first collection of his poetry. In this poem, Wordsworth mentions or refers to Thomas Chatterton and Robert Burns. He calls Thomas Chatterton in this poem a marvelous boy. And the famous line, "We poets in our youth begins in gladness, but thereof comes in the end despondency and madness." This line refers to Thomas Chatterton or the younger poets like himself, who start very passionately. When they start their literary career, they are passionate, they are enthusiastic, but as with the passage of time they realize the reality of life, they get depressed, or as with the passage of time they get the response of the people, they don't acclaim, so they feel that it is wrong to expect these things. This poem was based on Wordsworth's meeting with an old man gathering leeches. And this incident was recorded by Dorothy Wordsworth in her journal 1802. So the poem is based on that incident, that meeting, that chance meeting with a leech gatherer. And this poem influenced Thomas Hardy. The poem teaches happiness. It teaches how to come out of despair. That's why Thomas Hardy suggests that this was the best cure for despair. Next question, which Bible is the earliest English version printed with verse divisions? Was it Tyndale's translation, the Geneva Bible, the Douay Rheims version, or the King James version? Correct answer is it was Geneva Bible. Tyndale's translation refers to biblical translation by William Tyndale. It is the first translation directly from Hebrew. The Geneva Bible is the very first and most historically significant translation of Bible into English. This is translation into English version, the earliest English version. It was followed by King James version, and it was the primary Bible of 16th century English Protestant. Next question, which of these plays by Shakespeare does not use cross-dressing as a device? Was it As You Like It, Julius Caesar, Cymbeline, Two Gentlemen of Verona? And the correct answer is Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar did not use device of transvestite or cross-dressing. The rest of these 3 plays, they used this cross-dressing device. Rosalind changed herself as Ganymede in As You Like It. Viola as Caesarion in The Twelfth Night. Portia as a lawyer in Merchant of Venice. And Julia as a boy in The Two Gentlemen of Verona. And Imogen as a shepherd in Cymbeline. So, Two Gentlemen, Verona, Julia, Cymbeline, Imogen, As You Like It, Rosalind. So, in Shakespeare's plays, these 5 plays use this cross-dressing device. Merchant of Venice, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, Two Gentlemen of Verona, and Cymbeline. Julius Caesar did not use this device, cross-dressing. Next question, the etymological meaning of the word trope is gesture, turning, mirror, or desire. The correct answer is it is a turn, to turn or to direct. It is a Greek word and it is used for figurative language, a figurative or rhetorical device. The devices like figure of speeches we use in order to beautify the language, to heighten the effect of verse or literature. So in Greek this is called trope. When we use any word in its rhetorical sense or figurative or metaphorical, so it is a trope. Famous tropes are allegory, metonymy, synecdoche, and irony, hyperbole, and litotes. So the use of these devices amplify the literary effect. So these are called tropes. It means turn, to alter. It also means to alter, to direct. Next question. Everything that man esteems endures a moment or a day. Love's pleasure drives his love away. In this above quote, the last line is an example of allusion, pleonasm, paradox, or zeugma. The correct answer is it is paradox. Paradox is a literary device or figure of speech where the apparently illogical sentence or statement has some truth when we look at it thoroughly, or when we try to interpret it from the literary point of view, from the philosophical point of view. Otherwise, seemingly it is illogical. If we look at this line, love's pleasures drives his love away. If the pleasure of the love drives the love away, so what kind of pleasure it is? The happiness, the enjoyment of love removes the love itself. If we look at this sentence, so it looks to be illogical, irrational. It seems to have contradiction. एक तरफ तो love के pleasure की बात हो रही है, and दूसरी तरफ वही pleasure उसी love को remove कर देगा. So how come it is possible? But when we try to understand it, comprehend it with the philosophical or literary point of view, we will understand that the pleasure of love has the effect of transportation. The pleasure of love gives the ecstasy, and in this ecstasy we forget the earthly existence. We forget the source of that pleasure. We cherish the pleasure of the love itself. So here his love, it refers to, in my opinion, it refers to earthly existence. We forget the earthly existence, we feel the heavenly bliss, we feel the ecstasy. So from surface level it seems to be logical, but if we try to understand this from literary point of view, we may get some truth. Allusion is when we indirectly refer to some mythological character, some political character into the literary piece. It is allusion. So when in a piece of literature, in a piece of fiction, we indirectly refer to some historical piece, historical monument, historical background, or some character from the real life, or some character from mythology. So this is allusion. Pleonasm is a redundant use of words when we unnecessarily use the superfluous words. So this is sometimes a defect of literary expression. Suppose if we say in this day and age, so we are using day and age unnecessarily. We can simply say nowadays, or simply now, or presently, but we are unnecessarily using in this day and age. The other word is tautology or pleonasm. Zeugma is joining together. It means joining together when we join two attributes with a single verb. However, the verb is applicable only to one attribute. If we say Mrs. Bolo went in tears and sedan chair. So the verb went is used for tears and sedan chair. However, it is logically applicable to sedan chair. She went in sedan chair, and at the same time she was also shedding tears. So it is wrongfully applied to this tears as well. So when we are joining tears two attributes with a single verb, this is called zeugma. It is a Greek word and it means yoking together. Just like he killed the time and mosquito. Verb killed is logically applicable to mosquito. But here it is also used for killing time as well, means passing the time. So when he was passing the time, he was simply doing nothing, and sometimes he killed mosquito that came in his way. So these two attributes were joined by a single verb. This is zeugma. Next question. When you say I love her eyes, her hair, her nose, her cheeks, her lips, you are using a rhetorical device of enumeration, antanagogue, parotaxis, or hypotaxis. The correct answer is enumeration. Enumeration is a mathematical term that is to list, simply listing together. But when we use it in literature, so whenever we are using few words or few expressions or few phrases back to back in a list form, so it is enumeration. So it is a rhetorical device used for listing details. So in literature we normally list details. So he is describing her eyes, her hair, her nose, her cheeks, her lips. All these parts, they have been listed. Antanagogue is a situation when in a debate you feel speechless before the argument of other person. It happens many times when we are arguing and then we feel at our wits' end. We don't have any answer to the opposition. We feel completely speechless, answerless to the arguments, to the points of other person. So there the rhetorical device or the figure of speech is antagogue. It is also placing a positive outlook out of a negative situation. When we have to simply face this negativity, so we try to derive some positive, or we try to end it on a positive note in order to satisfy ourselves, or in order to get the best of it. If we cannot mend it, if we cannot improve it, if we cannot do anything of this, so we try to rather derive some positive. So whenever we end something on a positive note, when winning is not possible, just like in the case of argument, when we feel speechless, so we try to end the note, end the debate on a happy note. We accept and then we finish the debate. Similarly, when we place a positive outlook out of some negative situation, just like when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. When there is always bitterness in your life, so use it as some kind of medicine. Medicine is also bitter. Paradoxes is when we remove the conjunctions from the word. We use the phrases in a quick succession without using any conjunction to join. It is a Greek word that means placing side by side. So when we place the phrases or the words side by side without using any conjunction, this is parataxis. The example is I came, I saw, I conquered. So I say I came and I saw and I conquered. Should have been a logical juxtaposition. But here, without using any conjunction, I simply said I came, I saw, I conquered. Hypotaxis is when we place one clause in the subordination of other clause or in the coordination of other clause. Just like in grammatical sentences, the principal clause is followed by either coordinating clause or subordinating clause. So subordinating clause is always dependent on principal clause. Similarly, in literary passages, sometimes the other clauses are always in subordination to the main clause, main sentence. Like, oh, for a draught of vintage that had been cooled in time in long age deep delved earth. This is line from Ode to the Nightingale. This is the principal part. I wish for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in deep delved earth. So when we put a clause in subordination to the other clause, just like this part is simply the derivation of this first one. I wish for a draught of vintage. The drought which has been cooled a long age in a deep delved earth. And if you go for the complete stanza, you will find other expressions that they are also in the subordination of this draught of vintage. In ensuing 4-5 lines, there are expressions which are merely in subordination to this draught of vintage. Their meaning is complete only when we understand draught of vintage. Similarly, in complex sentences. So in complex sentences, subordinate clause does not have any complete meaning in itself unless we let it join with principal clause. So this is hypotaxis. Next question. Milton introduces Satan and the fallen angels in Book 1 of Paradise Lost. When there is a description of hell and how the angels have been fallen along with Satan, so there is a description of all the major characters or major angels. So out of these devils, 2 reappear in Book 2. Who are they? Moloch, Klemos, Belial and Tammuz. They are Moloch and Belial. These 2 reappear in Book 2 as well. The answer is B, 1 and 3. So when the conference was being held and then the discussion was going on what to do next, whether it was possible for waging yet another war against God, what could be done? So Moloch directly went for open war. He advocated open war. इसके according कि एक और battle हो ही जाए. And the first battle they had been thrown, they had been defeated. So Moloch feels revengeful. He feels that in yet another war, they will fight with their full strength, complete strength. So he advocates open war. However, Belial is peace-loving character. So he proposes peace. He is not in a favor of waging yet another war. He feels that much has been lost already. They had been confounded completely. They had been destroyed completely, and fortunately they have survived. So he is afraid if they wage yet another war, certainly the things are going to be completely annihilated. he does not have any hope in this open war. So these Moloch and Belial, they take part in the conference that takes place in book 2nd. So the answer is 1 and 3. Next question, which of the following plays does not use the device of the play within a play? Hamlet uses, Midsummer Nights uses, Spanish tragedy also uses. The device that was used in Hamlet was first used in Spanish tragedy. Women Beware Women did not use this device. As far as the use of this device of play within a play in Shakespeare's plays are concerned, in Hamlet, Shakespeare used it. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, it was used. In Love's Labour's Lost, it was used. And Taming of the Shrew. So these 4 plays of Shakespeare used the play within a play device. The Mousetrap or the Murder of Gonzago is a famous play within a play in Hamlet, everyone knows. Pyramus and Thisbe. This is also famous scene in Midsummer Night's Dream. It is taken from Ovid's Metamorphoses. The Pageant of the Nine Worthies, a show that was in Love's Labour's Lost. Taming of the Shrew is itself a play within a play. It starts as induction. The rest of the story starts in this. And prior to the device of play within a play, it was probably used by Thomas Kyd in Spanish tragedy. So Women Beware Women does not use this device. All the other Shakespearean plays they used. 4 plays. Next question. She dwells with beauty, beauty that must die, wrote Keats in one of his odes referring to indolence, autumn, melancholy and psyche. So it was in Ode to Melancholy that he used these lines. The complete stanza runs like, she dwells with beauty, beauty that must die, and joy whose hand is ever at his lips bidding adieu. This ode on melancholy is the shortest of odes, just 3 stanzas. And here in this poem, in this ode, he addresses how to cope with sadness, how to deal with sadness. Melancholy means sadness. So that is all for now. Hopefully this video added something to your present knowledge about the writers and poets who have been prescribed in your syllabus. We'll come back with yet another video with renewed or different kind of MCQs on these writers. Till then, stay tuned, keep learning, stay motivated. Like this video and share it among your friends. And if you have not subscribed to the channel so far, make it as a point to do it right now. Thanks for watching.